Alright guys, a lot has happened since the last time I made a video, so let's go ahead and get started today. Alright, so first of all, we have two winners today because I missed a couple weeks. So we have Antonio Holden, congratulations, as well as Dov Curtis. You have some Bitcoin onto your way right now. Here's the proof. I hope you enjoy it. So much has happened this week in the Bitcoin sphere. We are on track right now. We've gone up, oh God, since the last video I made. Let's zoom in here. It's been a couple weeks. We've gone up from what, 14,000 to we're over 18,000 now. That's crazy. What an amazing day right now. And all the coins are rallying. And that's exactly what we're going to be talking about today right now. Why is the coin going up? And, you know, should we be worried or anything like that? So I'm going to talk about what I've been doing, what I've been paying attention to. Alright guys. So essentially, you know, there are a lot of, we've talked about this before, but the reason why I decided to stay in Bitcoin and not leave is that it is pretty much the hardest asset out there, especially when you compare it to other stores of value like gold. Essentially, Bitcoin, again, only has 21 million coins, and because it only has 21 million coins, and it's on a public ledger that can be seen, the numbers can't be fudged, whereas with gold, they estimate that there is a certain amount underground. They don't know actually how much gold there is, so the numbers are fuzzy. So that's why futures and other derivatives that are made in the stock market can do things like manipulate them more readily than Bitcoin. But as you can see, this is one version of the stock to flow model. Plan B is famous for making that, apparently. And essentially, how to read this, if you've never read this before, is that each of these little diagonal lines going up is the supply shock from a halving of Bitcoin, because every 4 years Bitcoin has a halving. The amount of Bitcoin produced cuts in half, right? And it tends to go up I believe it's exponentially or logarithmically, I forget. But I know someone's gonna scream at the screen right now, it's this, like, it's okay, it's not, it's all good. But essentially, looking at 2017, which is about when I got into the market, we had the halving in 2016, and it crossed over into 2017, right? This is before I even bought it. I bought it early spring 2017, my first fraction of a Bitcoin. And at that point, it was around $1,000. And it took about, I'm trying to think, the halving happened right around like June, I believe. I can look this up. When was the last Bitcoin halving? Which one's the May 11th? Whatever. So it happened around late spring to midsummer 2016. So essentially, after that, the supply shock starts to hit, but it takes a little time for it to happen. So about 6 months later, so it hits, it goes down, actually, and then starts to go up around the new year, right? So it took about 6 months for it to really hit its previous high, and then it starts to just kind of go up, not continuously up, but slowly trending up, and then we hit the 10 grand level, which is where, as you can see, these lines kind of flatten out, because that's where kind of the stock to flow kind of lands, but the speculation takes over and we rocket into the bubble. The bubble was 20K, right? It burst essentially when they added derivatives to the market, so that's where futures comes in. Once that happened, people started to bet against Bitcoin. So large money could, for example, say, I'm going to bet $10 million that Bitcoin is going to be a lower price. And then people go, oh, this rich person said that the price is going to be lower, and everybody bets it, and it drags the price lower, because then to make profit with Bitcoin, people are betting that it's going to be a certain price. So that's when people say that there's going to be a futures gap that it has to fill. It means that someone bet low and they think that the price is going to go lower so that the rich person wins. That's essentially what's going on. In a nutshell, it's more complicated than that. But so Bitcoin has resisted that because remember, we know exactly how much there is. No matter how much they try to bet with fractions of non-existent Bitcoin, we know how much there is. They can't flood that system so readily. This other drop here, where it goes lower into the 3000s, was when Bitcoin Cash was made. And if you notice, for those of you who believe in the Fibonacci sequence or the golden section or the golden ratio, it kind of falls at around the 2/3, 3/4 mark. And so just based on that, trying to predict where Bitcoin may go, you can kind of make a logical guess at where it may land if things just kind of keep going, even during a pandemic, where they're going. So if it started at around 500 to 1,000 at the beginning of the last run, and it settled around 10K, right? And its bubble was double that price, right? Well, we started at around 10 grand, right? And its settling price, according to stock to flow, is 100,000. What's its bubble price going to be? If it goes even a third up, we're at $300,000, right? So that's where people get their predictions of $300,000, is that if the speculative bubble goes where people think it will go, if it follows the pattern it has for the last 12 years, then the speculative bubble will land somewhere above the 200,000 mark. Basically, those who have 4 or more Bitcoin might be millionaires this run. That's the high end. The low end is that, again, using the law of thirds, it settled at around 3,000, right? According to this chart, around 3,000 to 4,000. So it could hit a bubble and then settle down if we stay where we're at, around 50 grand. So that's the low mark where they think that Bitcoin may hit next time. So when people are analyzing when to take profits, people tend to go, well, I think the bubble may be above 100 grand, but I think it might settle to as low as 30 grand. So all the people like me on YouTube who've been talking about Bitcoin for a little while, or who have been in the market for a little while, the reason why we were screaming in January is because we knew that the halving was happening and that stock to flow would start to erupt. And it's doing it right now. And as the price goes up, it's becoming irresponsible for hedge funds, companies, banks, and other various wealth preservers to not be exposed to Bitcoin. So, I mean, we're talking Square, JP Morgan, Fidelity, PayPal, banks are trying to, all around the world, Germany, America, even exchanges are becoming banks in order to facilitate more on-ramps. Ethereum, which was $80 in January, has gone up to, I believe, over 600. We'll check in just a second. And is maybe a month away from launching Ethereum 2.0. And you can wrap Bitcoin and Ethereum, so they're tied together now. They're inseparable. And so it's really intense what's happening right now. There's a massive supply shock. There's people are buying up more Bitcoin than is being produced. It's happening every day now. It's been happening since before the summer was over. I believe it was Square. Square was buying it all up. And there are a few other ones that have been doing that. And they're promising to buy more. They're promising to buy more in the hundreds of millions. And every time they do it, if they buy over the counter will eventually run out of Bitcoin. So they have to buy more too. So you have people buying spot, over the counter, you have retail like you and me buying Bitcoin all at the same time, fueling this bull market. And it's going pretty well despite, again, our stock market being very shaky. It's wobbling, right? And we're in the middle of a pandemic. We're in a massive bull market that a lot of people think will last till the end of 2021. And the reason why that is, if we look at the previous pattern, right? So this is the 2017 bull run that went up, and it was about, was it January it went down? Now, mind you, it was futures that triggered the bubble burst. Futures have been here, and futures are making not that big of a difference anymore. So we'll see what happens. There might be a moment when the buying power is just too weak and it can't support it and we sink down. But most people think, so this is like Plan B, these other people, exchange CEOs think that Bitcoin will be going up till at least the end of 2021. We're talking fall to winter. After that, that's when the roller coaster begins. That's when a lot of, like me and the people who have been holding, might dollar cost average some of our Bitcoin position out instead of in. So we'll see what happens. But for now, it's just, we haven't even broken the previous all-time high of 20K yet. But it's looking pretty good. Let me see if I can zoom in here. Yeah, so we're approaching the all-time high, and it's right on schedule. As you can see, it's not that much different from the previous one, and it's just going up, and we're just watching it go. It's intense. All that happened was the amount of the supply cut in half, and the demand stayed about the same, if not more. Some people think it will go much higher because institutions are hopping in and they don't want to be late. It might fuel a movement straight up, but we'll see what happens. Taking a closer look at the coin right now, this is basically March to our current timeline. All of these huge movements right here, these are whales. And I personally believe that a lot of whales are always trying to move when they're trying to move the opposite of what the herd is doing. So as people gain faith in the coin, they sell in order to scare people who are new to the space. And there are a lot of new people to Bitcoin right now. There are a lot of new companies. The only thing that whales are afraid of are other whales. So there's lots of fear in getting into this unknown experimental asset, right? So what'll happen sometimes is that a big whale will get in and they will fail. That happened recently. Someone bought who was it? A CEO bought like 200, I think it was 200,000 Bitcoin or something. And by the way, I could be off, but just double check on Google. And sold when it went down 80%, I believe it was in March. And now had they just held, they would be almost quadruple or double what they had. Yeah, they would be over double what they had. So all they had to do was hold, but because they're just unsure of the asset, they sold, right? And then they sold at a loss. So a lot of the game right now is just holding through the bull market, through all of these weird little tactics that are being thrown at us. Like, oh, it dropped 500. If you notice, if you read I have Yahoo Finance on my phone, and I read that a lot. Yahoo Finance is so negative all the time. It's so hilarious. They're like, well, we passed that, but is this a thing? It's like, and they're usually asked questions that have nothing to do with the asset, nothing to do with Bitcoin, nothing to do with blockchain, nothing to do with the space. It's usually questions that are asked by people who don't understand the coin. And the writer's just putting it out there because it'll get looks. Because fear is a powerful motivator, just like catharsis also is. So Bitcoin's doing extremely well. We've been on a tear. Excluding March, we've just kind of been doing a slow ramp up. I'm just having my mouse trace it here. Last time I checked out this, by the way, the reason I was so confused is I was looking at I had to adjust it to BTC USD because that's how I tend to measure it. I was measuring BTC against BTC and I was like, this doesn't make sense. I was like, what? To me anyway. So right now this is Ethereum BTC. Let's do ETH USD. Ethereum on a massive tear right now. In March, it was $145. I remember the year before that, it was like 80. Yeah, we're looking at 95, 85 right there. Now we're 600. And I believe that we are 2/3 to 3/4 of the way to activating Ethereum 2.0. And we'll see what happens. They're starting to fulfill their promise, finally, after 3-4 years of waiting. Congratulations. I think that the feet is to their fire because they know if they don't release something, Bitcoin will just gobble them up and goodbye. And that's it. Nothing like a little bit of friendly competition. XRP doing extremely well right now. I believe that XRP has been buying back their XRP, which has affected the supply. And that is one reason the price is rising also. And everyone's trying to stay relevant to Bitcoin. That's essentially what's happening right now. They're doing everything they can to keep themselves in the limelight. Litecoin going up as well. No real news about Litecoin. It's their goal is to be silver to Bitcoin's gold. They also have a scarcity model with Litecoin. So if you own Litecoin, it's gone up. See anything else? Cardano going up a little bit. Tron going up a little bit. A lot of the large coins going up. Before this little rally with the alts, Bitcoin has been leaving them in the dust essentially. But yeah, it's just really intense right now. So just remember, another thing concerning Bitcoin scarcity is that 4 to 6 million are either owned already or mined before this market even started. So 4 million, I believe, are lost forever. Forever. Of the 21 million, 4 million are lost forever. Gone. In a dumpster, someone forgot the password, destroyed a computer, it's gone forever. So remember that to be in the top 1% of a Bitcoin holder, all you need is 0.21. Probably less if 6 million are gone forever. 4 to 6 million. So it's intense, guys. It's an intense time. It's really fun. If you've been holding for a long time, a lot of good things are going on. I hope you guys are doing well. We'll probably talk about some more issues next week. I've just been exhausted working my tail off these past few weeks. I'll be changing shift, which I'm excited about at my job. And yeah, it's a good time to be a Bitcoin holder right now. So I hope you all are safe, are healthy, are not sick, and I will see you all next time.